Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to take a deep dive into this tariff that has been announced, where there's going to be a 25% tariff on heavy as well as medium duty trucks. This is set to take effect on November 1st of 2025, so about a month from now. And what we're going to do today is first of all look at what this tariff is, where heavy duty trucks are typically manufactured, where the parts come from, and what the industry impact would be. Ready? Let's go. All right, first things first, let's review the details of this tariff. So this tariff is going to be applied 25% for any medium or heavy duty truck that is imported into the United States from a foreign country. Previously, trucks from Mexico, for example, could enter the US duty-free if they met the rules of origin under the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. But this new tariff that is set to begin on November 1st could actually override this protection for the specified vehicles. All right, let's take a look at the most popular truck manufacturers of trucks that are used on US roads and take a look at where they are actually manufactured. So number one, we're going to start with Freightliner. Freightliner heavy-duty trucks are manufactured by the Daimler truck plants in Cleveland and Mount Holly, which are both in North Carolina, as well as God forgive me, Santiago, Tianguistenco. I'm so sorry. Santiago, Tianguistenco, and Saltillo, Mexico. Please don't come after me for my pronunciation. I am acutely aware of that problem. Anyway, Freightliner also has a plant in Detroit, Michigan, where Detroit diesel engines, transmissions, and axles are produced to use for Freightliner trucks. Next, we have Peterbilt. So a plant in Denton, Texas is actually the one that primarily manufactures Class 8 Peterbilt trucks. Then we have St. Therese in Quebec, Canada, that produces Class 6 and 7 trucks, as does Mexicali, Mexico. Then we have Kenworth. Now for Kenworth, it's a plant in Renton, Washington that assembles Class 7 and 8 heavy-duty trucks. Chillicothe, Ohio, might be pronouncing that wrong as well, is the largest Kenworth manufacturing facility. And then we also have St. Therese, Quebec, Canada, which produces medium truck models. And then we have Mexicali, Mexico, which contributes to the Kenworth truck production. Now moving on to Mack trucks. From my research, what I have found is Mack trucks are pretty much all produced in the USA in states such as Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland. Volvo is also in the USA, actually in Dublin, Virginia, which is the largest facility and produces trucks for the North American truck market. But then there's the question of parts. Where are the parts manufactured? Because while the assembly, the final assembly of a truck might be happening in the United States, where are the parts in order to be able to assemble these trucks coming from? Well, from my research, parts for many of these trucks come from a highly integrated North American supply chain under the frameworks like USMCA, with significant sourcing from the US, Canada, and Mexico for components such as engines, transmissions, chassis. For instance, many engines and powertrains are produced in the United States or in Canada, while some electronics or specialized modules and raw materials, for example, steel or batteries, those are produced or may originate from Asia, for example, Japan or South Korea. So let's start breaking this down. It seems like from first glance, because a lot of these trucks, actually all of them, are primarily being manufactured in the United States, it is unlikely that we will see a direct increase in purchase cost of these trucks. However, this also depends on the USMCA agreement. So from what I have found, under the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, heavy-duty trucks could enter the U.S. tariff-free if at least 64% of their value originates in North America. But this new 25% tariff seemingly overrides it, although this is not yet confirmed. This is a big detail that is still unclear, so predicting what will happen in the U.S. trucking market is pretty difficult. But regardless of that detail, Avery Weiss of FTR told overdrive, and I'm going to quote this, there could be a boost in retail truck sales as fleets rush to buy as many trucks as they can afford that are unaffected by these tariffs. And then I'm going to quote him directly. At a minimum, though, truck owners that need to replace equipment soon will likely accelerate their purchasing. Fleets will be limited to the specs of trucks already on dealer lots, of course, but given the potential markup for trucks built after tariffs kick in, many truck buyers surely will find that they are more flexible than they have been in the past. So I have one big question after doing all of this research, and I'm hoping that someone in the comments can enlighten me. Do you think that the components used to actually assemble these trucks are subject to this same tariff? The announcement was about medium and heavy duty trucks coming into the United States from foreign countries, but nothing was said about the parts that are needed to assemble these trucks in the United States. And the follow-up question that I have is that if the parts are subject to this tariff, and let's assume that the USMCA does not apply in this situation, if a lot of parts are imported from other countries and they are subject to this tariff, it is quite possible that now maintaining or repairing your truck would cost you more simply because the parts now cost more. I'm curious to hear what you guys have heard on this, because while I was doing research, I realized there's not a ton of information on this, and there are still things that need to be clarified in order to understand how it's going to affect the United States trucking market. But if you guys have heard anything or can provide more detailed information, I would sure appreciate it. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.